Donald Trump held a huge rally this weekend. Wait, what? Yes, he lost the election. Yes, there's a raging pandemic with record cases and deaths. And yes, Trump's rally in Georgia had a huge crowd, very few masks, and went almost into a third hour of Trump ranting. And Trump is still insisting he won the election. The rally, hilariously, was ostensibly to support the two Republican Senate candidates running in Georgia. Trump devoted about 20 minutes of the nearly 3 hours to them. He's just too self-centered and narcissistic to make it about them. And you've got to see this to believe it. As I mentioned, this was almost Fidel Castro-like in nature. Trump almost went into a third hour in Valdosta, Georgia, ranting about whatever crossed his mind. And the upside is this will end soon. He is only president 6.5 more weeks, my friend. So let's dive directly into it because we have a lot to get to. Trump kicking off the rally with the lie that he won the state of Georgia.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Melania. And I want to say hello, Georgia. We did a great job. You know, we won Georgia, just so you understand.
So Trump, of course, lost Georgia. Joe Biden won Georgia. And as scary as it is that a president still says this a full month after an election, it's scarier that a crowd of thousands is cheering it. That's really the scary part. Hilariously, Trump almost admitted that he lost, but then he backpedaled, realizing he was about to implicitly concede. Take a look at this.
I think they say that if you win Florida and if you win Ohio, in history, you've never lost an election. This has got to be our first time. But the truth is they were right. We've never lost an election. We're winning this election.
And of course, again, the fact that people cheer for these lies is horrifying. Trump wasn't just declaring non-existent victories electorally. He also declared victory in the Christmas war, the war on Christmas, a fake, phony, non-existent war.
Let me begin by wishing you all a very Merry Christmas. Remember the word? Remember? We started 5 years ago, and I said, you're going to be saying Christmas again, and we say it proudly again, although they'll be trying to take that word again out of the vocabulary. We're not going to let them do that.
That war doesn't exist. Neither did the war on Thanksgiving that he talked about just weeks ago. And then Donald Trump falsely claimed that a lot of people are already vaccinated from COVID. That was weird.
And let me also express our warmest, best wishes and love to all of those people and families suffering from the COVID pandemic. Vaccines are on their way at a level that nobody ever thought possible. It would have taken another administration 5 years. It took us 7 months. And they're starting next week, and we're going to start vaccinating. And a lot of people already are vaccinated. It's called you caught it, and you're immune.
Now, of course, nobody's been vaccinated other than the people that were part of the clinical trials for the vaccines. Trump, I guess, meant people who got the virus and recovered are immune. Just as a reminder, we don't know how long immunity from recovered patients lasts. It's unclear whether you are immune longer if you had a more serious case of the virus versus an asymptomatic case, as an example. Very dangerous for Trump to be spreading this type of stuff when we have a raging pandemic. Another incredible moment was Trump telling people to vote for Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue in the upcoming Senate runoffs, while in the same breath saying it's completely rigged, which, as we talked about earlier, might actually convince people not to vote.
Our state has had this prominence on Senate races because they're never together. And this is something that's very important. And you have to get out and you have to vote. You have to make sure you have every vote counted. Every vote has to count. You got to make sure they don't throw away any ballots. You got to make sure that when they collect the ballots and they start bragging about how many ballots they already have, you got to make sure your Secretary of State knows what the hell he's doing. And you got to make sure your governor gets a lot tougher than he's been. He's got to get a lot tougher.
You really should vote, but it's rigged. Trump also attacking the Georgia governor, Brian Kemp, and the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, just out of this world lunacy at this rally. Then Trump pulled out the C word. No, not that one that you might imagine he would use about Kamala Harris. This is communism. about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Of course, there's not a single communistic idea in Joe Biden's platform, not a single socialist idea in the campaign, nor in the incoming administration so far.
These people want to go further than socialism. They want to go into a communistic form of government, and I have no doubt about it. Somehow that doesn't suit Georgia too well. That's not.
Now, of course, if you go up to anybody at that rally and you say, yes, good evening, sir or ma'am, which Biden policies are communistic? Ask them what communism even is. It will get very embarrassing very quickly, but they're continuing to harp on this meme, which, by the way, the meme might have won Florida for Trump. It's conceivable that Florida went that way because the socialism meme worked on Cuban Americans in Florida. So I'm not pretending it doesn't work. I'm just telling you it's bonkers. And then a completely Kafkaesque moment when Trump read from printed out sheets of paper that have so-called irrefutable facts about the election. Take a look at this.
Or a rigged election. There's no way it could have happened. You know, it's interesting. I wrote this out, and I had just a few of the facts, which I think, because I want to get onto the presidential. I want to stay on presidential, but I got to get to these two because they're incredible. But listen to this. These are the facts, and each fact is like irrefutable, and it means win. President Trump received, done by one of the most brilliant political people, President Trump received more votes than any previous incumbent president in history, and we lost. And we lost. So we received more votes than anybody in history, any incumbent in history, and we lost, supposedly. We didn't lose. You're gonna see that. No incumbent who received 75% of the total primary vote lost re-election in the history of our country.
Every single one of these, of course, has a but. Trump received more votes than any previous incumbent, but still millions of fewer votes than Joe Biden. An incumbent with 75% of the primary vote has never previously lost, but there really wasn't a Republican primary this year because of the pandemic, and the number is not causal. It's a correlational number in any case. The entire night was like this again and again, and just literally hours of it. Trump still then, after, he ranted for 2 hours and then still hasn't figured out that the election is over. Listen to this one.
And they want to hurt it very badly. And if these two don't get in, or if I don't get in and these don't, we got to get, the best would be all three. Nothing will happen. All three.
Then there's a hilarious moment where Trump is talking about who knows what at a rally supposedly from Georgia, for Georgia Senate candidates. These are just non-sequitur rantings. I don't know what he's talking about here.
I like to say it came from Europe. No, actually, well, specifically, it came from Italy. Italy's saying, what did we do? They'll wage war on American energy, absolutely decimating Georgia's middle class. Your bills will go up. Not a huge energy producer, but Texas. Remember, they said, Trump will lose Texas by a lot. I said, wait a minute. I'm in favor of energy. I'm the one that built. We have the greatest energy we've ever had.
That is Trump rallying in support of Georgia Senate candidates. Imagine what he would be doing if he was trying to hurt them rather than help. And then Trump claims to have won Wisconsin, which he lost.
How much? And we knew that before, but it's fake news. They said Wisconsin. A poll came out, Washington Post, ABC, just before the election. I'm going to lose Wisconsin by 17 points. I said, no, I'm going to win Wisconsin. Well, actually, I won Wisconsin. They're trying to say he's a little down, but I actually won.
And then one more bizarre moment, Donald Trump talking about the vegetables he likes.
Blueberries, peppers, squash, and cucumbers. Who does cucumbers around here? Because I like cucumbers. I'm the only one. I like cucumbers.
Absolute last one. Trump wrongly telling people they really need to vote on June 5th. The election is actually on January 5th.
But everything that we've achieved together is on the line on June 5th.
So this is funny. And, to see the delusional, petulant child who still can't admit he lost. But it is really, really dangerous. This is corrosive to democracy. This is a global embarrassment. And this also has the potential to be stochastic terrorism. Trump is railing against poll workers, against the Secretary of State, against governors, against Democrats, against Biden, saying he stole it, they stole it, it's all stolen. This actually can inspire people to violence. And we've already seen people inspired by these rantings to start harassing and going after poll workers in Georgia and even other states. So this has a very real world component. It's not just corrosive to democracy ideologically. It also actually could inspire real violence against people. And again, just a few more weeks of this, Let's take a quick break. We will be back with very much more in just mere moments. What if you could read 10 books in just one sitting? That's exactly what one of my favorite apps lets you do. It's called Blinkist. And what they do is take thousands of popular nonfiction books. They condense them down into text or audio that you can consume in 15 minutes. Blinkist makes sure that you're getting all of the important core insights from each book. So it's perfect for exploring a book you otherwise wouldn't have time for. If there's a full book you're thinking about buying, you can use Blinkist to get a sample first. Just think how much you can enrich yourself by being able to soak up an entire nonfiction book in just 15 minutes. I recently checked out the book Podcast Marketing Strategy by Daniel Rolls and Kieran Rogers, and so useful, so particularly applicable to what I'm doing. Really recommend it. Blinkist has books on politics, philosophy, science. They have 27 different nonfiction categories, and a subscription is only about $8 a month, and you get the entire library. But you can try it totally free and get 25% off a subscription when you go to Blinkist.com/Pakman. I've put the link right underneath this video.